Some people want to know, is there any advantage to, for example, doing an interrogation when you get arrested or when you are a suspect in a case? And I'll tell you this, that if you do give a statement before you have had a chance to look at all of the evidence, then you can't be accused of having crafted a story to match all the evidence if you hadn't seen the evidence yet, right? It is time. It is time for the 2024 reanalysis of the murder of Dan Markel. I think we have learned a lot, including during the Charles Adelson trial, and obviously from Katherine Magbanua's proffer. I think it's time for me to reevaluate the case. Take a step back and interpret the evidence.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Your family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they?
No, that's completely untrue.
See 1201, Ms. Magbanua again reached out for Mr. Garcia. 1207, Mr. Charlie Adelson is contacting Ms. Magbanua, a little over 3.5 minutes. 1230, Ms. Magbanua calls Mr. Adelson back, 53 seconds. There's an outgoing call at 102. It does not really have a duration, but there is an outgoing call in Mr. Adelson's records to Donna Adelson.
And this is at 1 a.m.?
That's at 1:02 a.m.
Okay, and then what does he do next?
And then at 1:03, immediately after, there is the outbound call to Ms. Magbanua for almost 20 minutes.
Weird.
A guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV?
I have his name and everything at the house if you want it, because the boys broke the TV, so he gave me a choice of fixing it or getting a new one.
What time did he come to the house?
He called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Wendi Adelson's forensic extraction or her Cellbrite report. So we're able to see other things that were contained in her phone. And one of the first things we see is that she had a calendar entry for that day for listed as fixed TV.
Now we see that it's deleted.
Yes.
When would that have been deleted?
Sometime prior to our analysis of the handset.
And your analysis of the handset was done that same day?
It was done, yes, the afternoon of the 18th.
Okay. So this calendar event, fixed TV, was deleted at some point before her phone was taken by law enforcement and looked at that afternoon?
That's correct. Then we see that there is an outbound call from Wendi Adelson to Donna Adelson.
And that's starting at 8:09 in the morning?
That's correct.
Okay.
An immediate return attempt. And then a text message. Again, this is from Wendi Adelson's handset itself, but there is a return text message or a text message from Donna Adelson to Wendi communicating about Best Buy and coming by for the repair of the TVs.
Okay, she says, Best Buy just called me and I told them to confirm with you. They are on their way over now to help you with the TV set in your living room.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a text from Wendi Adelson to Charlie Adelson stating, "This is so sweet."
We see that that's deleted.
It is, yes.
That would have also been deleted prior to law enforcement analyzing her cell phone that afternoon, the same day as Dan Markel's murder?
That's correct.
So then he kept them last night, Thursday night, and then he would have driven them to school. What time does he normally drop them off at school?
It varies. Sometimes he has breakfast with him. I got the call from him. It was 9:04, I think. Right. So he must have already just dropped them off. Like, I think he went straight from dropping off the boys to go to Premier.
He called you at 9:02?
He called me at 9:02. The repair guy was there, and honestly, I leave my ringer off a lot of the time, so I didn't even hear the call come in. He left me a message. He said, I'm going to do an exercise class that gets out at 10:15 or 10:30, and then we can talk after that.
So did he say in that voicemail that he left you what his plans were in regards to the gym that day?
He did.
What exactly did he say about the gym?
About the gym, he said, I'm going to be at the gym probably between 9:15 and 10:30, but I'm happy to chat or meet with you. Maybe we can go for a walk at school or something like that. Let me know.
Okay. We're seeing a blue circle around a dark vehicle. Could you tell us what that indicates?
That is Mr. Markel's vehicle.
And this is him entering the gym at 9:11?
That's correct. He just came into the parking lot and is going around to the front side of the gym. This is Mr. Markel immediately preceding the video we just saw where he's coming into the front of the gym.
All right, and is he going to park somewhere?
Yes, he parks right behind that American flag.
An attempt from Charlie Adelson to call Wendi Adelson.
This is the same angle. It's just a little bit further to the left, and that is the front of the gym right there where the green Prius just drove right in front of the front door of the gym.
Okay. So they entered the parking lot through different entrances.
That's correct. They entered over off of the west side of the parking lot.
All right, so we see the Prius here, and we know where Mr. Markel's parked there behind the flagpole. What is that?
Correct. He's still in the vehicle, just exited the vehicle there, I believe.
All right, so the blue circle indicates that's him getting out of his vehicle?
Correct.
And where's the Prius at this time?
The Prius continued on through the parking lot on the north side. And
now we're at 9:13 a.m. Is that Mr. Markel in the red?
yes, it is.
Do we have any reason to believe that any suspects entered the gym?
No, we do not.
And Mr. Rivera's handset has the events we see here between about 9:14 and 9:44, all of them together, that are communicating with two different cell sites and sectors, again, both of which would be consistent with a handset being at or near Premier Health and Fitness.
Sorry, you okay?
Yeah. No.
I meant to.
It's fine. Our last interaction wasn't nice.
What are you talking about, personal?
Yeah, I'm just looking here. I didn't want him to take the boys this afternoon. I had wanted to have them. And I talked over with my brother and realized, just their dad wants to take them swimming. It's not worth getting upset over. He sent me that message at 9:15 this morning.
Alright. And then no contact after that.
we had some texting contact. That's when I was saying that my last contact wasn't very nice. I was saying, well, I wanted to pick them up at 3, and he was saying, well, you are only allowed them after 4:30, and I was like, well, what about last week? I picked him up at 5, and he said I was just being nice, and I said, I guess nice was fun while it lasted.
Okay.
And that's the last thing I said to him.
Okay.
And what are we looking at here outside at 9:16 a.m.?
9:16, the green Prius is still driving through the parking lot, but it's coming back from where it had passed through. Coming back toward the gym. This is on the south side of the parking lot of the gym. And the green Prius just drove through there and is driving around the parking lot still.
And Mr. Rivera's handset has the events we see here between about 9:14 and 9:44, all of them together, that are communicating with 2 different cell sites and sectors, again, both of which would be consistent with a handset being at or near Premier Health and Fitness. And then a return call from Wendi Adelson to Charlie that lasted just over 18 minutes.
Did you talk to your brother on the day of your ex-husband's murder?
I did.
And about what time of day did you speak to him?
It would have been right after the repair guys were there, because that's when I called him to tell him, ask him whether I should get the TV repaired or buy a new TV. So
Okay.
it would have been morning.
How long did you talk to him?
I don't remember.
Does 18 minutes sound incorrect?
That sounds reasonable.
Okay. Did you talk to him about other things other than just the TV?
I really don't remember what else I talked to him about, but probably. Maybe I would have asked him about his work, or we would have caught up.
Did you happen to mention Dan Markel's plans to go to New York the next day?
I don't see why I would have.
What do you recall talking to your sister about?
I called her in the car on the way up to work, and I ended up talking to her. She's told me that she was having the TV set repaired. I thought she had told me that Lincoln had thrown something at it and broke the screen. So she was getting the TV fixed. And then I was also, the reason I called her was because I was in a fight with Katie and I wanted to get her opinion on something. So I spoke to her and told her what I said to Katie, and she gave me sisterly advice like she usually does.
Again, the vehicle is turned around and is coming back toward the gym in the same parking lot.
Almost managed to get in a wreck there.
Just missed.
We know from Mr. Garcia's records, we have events at 9:36 a.m. and 9:58 a.m. where his handset is communicating with a cell site in a sector that will be consistent with Premier Health and Fitness.
Okay, and what about after that 18-minute call between Charlie Adelson and Wendi Adelson?
Well, this will probably be almost during that, but there's a 9:38 call, or just after that, from Charlie Adelson to Donna Adelson, an attempt for 30 seconds. And Mr. Rivera's handset has the events we see here between about 9:14 and 9:44, all of them together, that are communicating with 2 different cell sites and sectors, again, both of which would be consistent with a handset being at or near Premier Health and Fitness.
And Jake and Dan were talking. It's Dan, right? I don't really know.
Yeah.
Dan Markel, I think it's pronounced. Okay. And my name came up because I'm pretty good friends with Jake, and he said, oh, call Stu and talk to him about your concerns or your feeling about the school and what you're, because he works there, so he knows the inside. And so He asked me if I would contact Dan, and I sent Dan a text this morning.
Go ahead. Sorry, man.
Yeah, that's fine. I sent Dan a text this morning and said, hey, I'm available to talk anytime today.
And then at 9:57, again, an outbound from Charlie Adelson to Ms. Magbanua, 12 seconds. Return call, 9:58, 13 seconds. And again, Mr. Adelson to Ms. Magbanua for 6 minutes and 46 seconds. We know from Mr. Garcia's records, we have events at 9:36 a.m. and 9:58 a.m. where his handset is communicating with a cell site in a sector that will be consistent with Premier Health and Fitness. Well, what we see the 9:58 event, an incoming text. Charlie Adelson again attempts to call Wendi Adelson at 10:06 a.m. 10:07, 10:08. There's a couple of contacts between Ms. Magbanua and Mr. Adelson, one just over a minute and one about 9 seconds. And then 10:09, Charlie Adelson call to Ms. Magbanua for 5 minutes and 54 seconds.
Okay, what's happening here?
This is Mr. Markel exiting the lobby of the gym, coming through the lobby.
How long was Professor Markel inside the gym?
I believe about an hour and a half. I believe it's about 10:38 when he leaves, somewhere around there.
All right, now at 10:34, what do we see?
We see Mr. Markel walking away from the front doors of the into the parking lot toward his vehicle.
And that was, okay, so that's this morning.
And that's at 9:56.
Okay.
10:36, he said, thanks, what's your name? Because we don't even know each other. I'll try you shortly.
Okay, all
I
right.
tell him my name.
So we saw Mr. Markel's vehicle leaving. Is that the Prius that was back there in that orange circle?
That's correct. They were in the far northwest part of the parking lot parked, and when he exited, they started to exit. And he exited on the Village Square Boulevard exit.
Okay. So we never saw anybody exit the Prius during the surveillance video.
No, we did
They
not.
stayed in the car the whole time.
That's correct.
All right, so where are we right here on the video?
This is right in front of the Circle K gas station, which is right on Thomasville Road at the Capitol Circle flyover. I believe it's Maclay Commerce Boulevard is the actual road that they're on.
All right, so if we're the bus, we're on Maclay Commerce.
That's correct. And the Circle K is to the right, and right in front of us is Thomasville Road with the divider where Capitol Circle flyover starts.
And what does the blue circle indicate?
That is the vehicle of Mr. Markel.
And what does the orange circle indicate?
That is the green Prius that was in the parking lot of Premier Gym.
.505, what does this show?
So this is on Thomasville Road heading south, just south of the I-10. This is the entrance where the hospital is to the right. It's a red light.
And by hospital, you're talking about the new ER.
The new ER, exactly, right by I-10 and Thomasville Road.
Were you able to get the tag number from this image from the bus?
No, unfortunately we weren't. The resolution on these cameras are set really low because they're saved on DVRs, and they don't want them to roll over too fast, so they set the resolution extremely low, and we were not able to pull anything out of that.
Where is Professor Markel's vehicle at this point?
It is past the red light. It's already made it through the red light. Still heading south on Thomasville Road.
And that's almost 10:48.
You made contact with him, which would have been, just to confirm, was 10:48 a.m. is when you finally got the call from him?
I'll pull that up. So, yeah. 10:48, he calls me.
Okay.
I guess that's what the green arrow means.
So you talked to him you were on the phone a total of 11 minutes and 39 seconds with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the last few minutes, we're trying to figure out what was going on with the situation.
Okay.
I could tell he was driving because there was a lot of just extra noise. It sounded like he was on speakerphone in his car driving.
Okay.
What does the orange circle indicate here? Where are we and what does the circle indicate?
We're still southbound on Thomasville Road. This intersection is Benton Road, which is where Winthrop Park is. Benton Road is where the cars are stopped at. In the left-hand turn lane on the far left side of the screen is the green Prius waiting to turn left on the Benton Road.
And is that a route to get to Professor Markel's residence on Trescott?
That's correct.
All right, and that's 10:51 a.m.?
Correct.
Okay. Go forward.
He's driving, and then it sounded like he stopped. The extra noise wasn't really there, and he said, hold on a second, there's someone in my driveway that's unfamiliar to me. And I'm pretty sure that's the words he used. And I said, sure, no problem. And he I guess, I don't know what he did. I don't know if he opened the door, got out of his car. I tried to just wait till he said, hey, you back? Or I'm back, you know. And that never happened. I remember 3 events after that point, because I was trying not to, you know, I was just waiting for him to come back. It was a loud sound, which sounded either like a grunt or something. It sounded like a person making the sound, but it didn't sound like a good sound. So my mind immediately went to like heart attack. But I think this guy's pretty young. So I stayed on the line instead of calling an ambulance right away. And so that was one sound. It was a loud grunt, just a loud sound. And then there was a lot of sounds that I couldn't make out. Either that the phone had broken, I thought, maybe it fell out of his pocket while he was talking to this person. I don't know. Lots of sounds. couldn't make out the words, but there was definitely voices. Could have been the radio, I don't know. I don't know if he was near his car or he had already walked away from it. And then the third sound was heavy breathing, labored breathing. You know, and I listened and I thought, this could be a heart attack. Or, I don't have a lot of experience with these things, heart attacks or anything. But it didn't sound good. And then I started saying, are you okay? You know, maybe 3 or 4 times. Can I help you? You know, just different things. And then I decided to hang up.
We were working with an iPad on a couch, and we heard a noise, a loud bang. We weren't sure what it was, and I quickly got up to see what might have caused that noise. And there had been at the time some burglaries in the area, and I was concerned that perhaps that had been a burglary attempt. And so as I approached, we have a large window looking out on the street, and as I got to the window, I looked to the left and to the right because I wasn't sure where the noise came from. But on my right, as I looked out, I saw a car quickly back up out of the driveway and then head towards Benton Road very rapidly.
What type of vehicle was it?
Well, I caught it out of the corner of my eye, so it was not, I didn't look at it real hard, but it looked like a Prius to me, looked like a silver or white colored Prius.
Anything about the way it backed out? Did it do that normally or something?
It just went very quickly, and that's what caught my attention.
All right, and which way did it go after it backed out of the drive there?
As it backed out of the driveway, it headed to the right, which was towards Benton Road.
And what are we looking at on bus 707?
So this is northbound on Thomasville Road at Hermitage. This is at 10:55 a.m. and there's 2 lanes there. They're in the right-hand lane. The bus is in the right-hand lane, but the camera's on the outside of the bus looking backwards. So you'll see oncoming traffic coming behind the bus.
And what do we see here?
We see the green Prius pulling up next to the bus.
All right, so this is 10:55. We last saw him at 10:51. Does that narrow our murder window down to that 4 minutes?
That's correct. This is north of where the victim was, and this is coming from the victim's house.
I think we've prepared. Tell us what we're supposed to be looking for in this clip.
So you can see inside the vehicle, even though it has tinted windows, you can see the driver's wearing dark clothes, but the passenger appears to have a long sleeve white shirt on, and he's very animated in the passenger seat. The same bus as the light turned green at Hermitage going north on Thomasville, and this is the green Prius passing the bus.
And then this is where you try to call him back right at 11?
Right. So, he said there's an unfamiliar person in my driveway. I called back again. It went to voicemail.
So that's 11 o'clock call, right?
Right, that's 11 o'clock, 43 seconds, went to voicemail, I hung up.
Maybe after the repair guy left, so maybe at like, this morning, like at 11-ish or something.
All right. So you're at your house with the repairman. He leaves. You go back to working on your papers.
After he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the citations.
Okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just working for an hour or so from the house. I was going to take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time.
And then the "Are you okay?" is after the incident.
Okay, that's 11:01, like you told me earlier is when you sent it. Okay.
Right. Texted him, thinking, oh, maybe something happened to his speaker because I couldn't. But then the labored breathing was very clear, like the phone was like right here or right here. Just very clear. I could, no question about what it was. Texted him, "Are you okay?" No response.
We see at 12:35 p.m., kind of in the middle of the screen here, her handset's now kind of halfway between there, and then that call ends at 12:47 p.m., and it ends on a cell site here very close to ABC liquor store. So looking at that, again, the receipt time, 12:49, the call ending time, 12:47, we can kind of approximate that she would have been by the Trescott residence, at 10 or so minutes earlier than that.
Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure what time it was
And I
blocked.
just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something. Because sometimes
Oh, you're saying as you drove down which one of the side roads?
I needed to buy, it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time. I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Right.
So I just turned around and drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes when I lived there were electrical things that would happen.
Did Markel have he and Wendi Adelson's children the morning of July 18th?
He did, yes.
All right, and he had taken them to school that morning, right?
Yes.
All right, looking at her Cellbrite, were you able to see her calls that morning after she would have passed this Trescott Drive area?
Yes.
I called, but I think we could see what time I called him. I thought it was more of like, let's see, recent calls. I called him. Well, that's him calling in at 9:02. I called him at 11:42 and got his answering machine. He left me a message. I called him at 11:42, left a message, and then I called him back. I have the phone record. He called at like 9. And he told me he went to Premiere. So he says, I don't know, you remember how I had a voice thing? Like I hadn't talked to him. He was like, I know your voice is bad. Like, is today work? And he said we could go for a walk at the law school, or we could talk.
Can you, let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay.
I left my house around 12:15 because I thought I'll get the bourbon and then I'll get some gas for the car and get super glue for one of the boys' toys. And I was trying to do all I can before meeting my two friends at 1.
We see some events, 12:18, 12:19. There's 2 incoming calls from this 305 number, very short duration, and we don't see locations for those. So those calls did not reach the handset. Powered off, battery went dead, broken, whatever it may be, but those calls did not reach the handset. (12:29) and 12:30, we see these short codes or these short 3-digit numbers here, and those are associated with T-Mobile voicemail events. And then immediately at 12:30, we have the outgoing voice call that provides location. So that would indicate that the handset was now back in service with the network.
And could that be consistent with him turning off his phone after he left Premiere and then powering it back on after he figured he was far enough away from Tallahassee?
It could be consistent with that, yes. So the next event that we see is at 12:30 p.m. We can see here that it has traveled a reasonable distance from Tallahassee before we see that next event.
And is he the orange dot here with 12:30 p.m. next to it?
He is, yes.
Okay. That's looks around about Gainesville-ish area?
North of that, yes.
A little north of Gainesville. All right, so that's the first phone call that Garcia made after leaving Premier?
Yes, that's the first event with location that we have.
And then who was his first call at 12:30 when he was north of Gainesville? Who was the first call that either of these, Garcia or Rivera, makes after the murder?
Miss Magbanua.
Okay, can you show that to us? That was the 12:30 call?
Yes.
We see a very short duration. Is that 20 seconds?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Looking at her records, she has a rather lengthy voice call, begins at 12:31 p.m.
Look, my only interest in this case is to find the truth of what really happened on July 18, 2014, when Dan Markel was shot. Who took the shot? Who asked that it be done? Who knew about it and didn't do anything to stop it? And that means always keeping an open mind and analyzing and reanalyzing the data, the evidence as it presents itself. Understanding the motivations of the people involved to lie. That's my goal, to look at everything and continuously analyze the case so that I can get as close as possible to the truth. Because the only way that you can actually get to the truth is if every single person who was involved decides to be 100% truthful. But that's never going to happen. So, by continuously analyzing the evidence, even the testimony of these people when they were lying, because when you lie, you try to get as close as possible to the truth, we may be able to get as close as possible to the reality. And actually, I'm thinking about creating a major document, a full analysis of the case. Maybe I'll sell it to you guys when it's done or along the way. Thanks for watching Mentour Lawyer. Let's take a look at Katherine Magbanua's proffer with an analytical mind, an objective mind, and see what portions of her testimony sound truthful. And here's one interesting thing. One of the things that I thought was a mistake in the defense of Charles Adelson is the whole fact that they decided to announce this defense, right? The fact that Charlie was extorted supposedly back in July of 2014 during the opening statements. To me, in the end, it just looked like Charles Adelson completely listened to and analyzed all of the evidence in the case and came up with a story that he could try to fit within that evidence. That's what it looks like. And a good defense attorney would know that that's what it looks like. So as we listen to the statement of Katherine Magbanua, you'll see that some of the things that she says match the story that Charles Adelson later told. And without any receipts, without any proof that this was his story before, then it just all sounds like it was made up. So let's watch, Katie, and start the reanalysis of 2024 of the murder of Dan Markel. Here we go. And remember, you can watch the full timeline video that Ladybug prepared on the channel.
Than what's, he's letting it out to be.
Right. Okay. So something he said made you realize that he wanted Dan Markel killed and not just beat up.
Yeah.
During that
well,
time.
like I said, I didn't even know Dan Markel.
You didn't know his name.
I don't know.
But the person that they were taking care of.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So something between that June trip and that July time of asking money because he's frustrated it hadn't happened. That's when he let something slip that his intention was to have the subject that they were going up there killed, not hurt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So now we got about a month time frame of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So you go in July and you go and get that money from Charlie for them to go back up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You give it to Sigfredo. I understand you're still saying you didn't understand it was Sigfredo going, but you thought he was getting someone to go.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Dan Markel is murdered.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At that point, because I know that you had a conversation with Sigfredo when he was on his way back. I know that there was a post.
On his way?
Or when the drive back somehow?
Yeah.
There was.
I mean, like, he's always calling me. That's what I'm saying. It's like.
At what point, okay, then let's say, at what point did you realize that it was done? Dan Markel's, I understand you didn't know it was Dan Markel's name, but the subject was deceased and you were to go collect money. Because you went to Charlie's house that night.
Yeah. Okay, well.
Start from the beginning of that.
Okay.
That July trip. Let's just walk me through the July trip.
I'm thinking that I had, or either Sigfredo, I don't know if Sigfredo came to me in the apart to where I live, to probably on his way back.
Yeah, you did tell us that he came to you when he got back.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did Sigfredo tell you when he got back? Did he say it's done? Did he say something to let you know that you were to go collect payment?
Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, I need the money.
Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Okay, so
I'm assuming, like, no questions, no nothing. I didn't ask him, like, what happened. He would never tell me anyways.
Right.
But he's like, hey, I need to get paid. I need the money.
Okay.
I'm like, all right.
Charlie was calling during that. Did Charlie say anything? What did Charlie say to you about knowing it being done or anything about that?
Well, that's when I had gotten the phone call from him, I think, later on that night, too. Mm-hmm. And he had said that, like, oh, can you come over? We're going to have dinner or whatever. And then he said something about an accident. And that's from what I remembered. Like, something happened, there's an accident. So I'm putting two and two together, like.
So Fredo's come here and told you it's done, he needs money. And Charlie's calling you the same night, almost around the same time, saying, hey, come have dinner, an accident happened or something. That's what
Yeah.
Okay. You go to Charlie's that night?
Yes.
Y'all have dinner?
I think I just went to his house.
You went to his house? Okay, so you go to Charlie's house. Tell me about the discussion when you get there and how that goes out.
Okay, so when I got to Charlie's house, I told you he was acting kind of like frantic, and I remember him having a gun with him. That's why I was like, you know, like I come in or whatever, he had a gun in his hand and he is just like pacing back and forth, and I don't know like exactly what he was telling me, but it's almost like he was scared, like something was gonna happen to him.
Right.
So I'm like scared too, because I'm like, why are you like why do you have a gun? Like I've never seen him like, you know, like have a gun on him. He's like pacing back and forth, and then he's like, oh, an accident happened. He's still not telling me, you know, that this is from Tallahassee, and he didn't tell me that anything happened to, you know, his brother-in-law yet.
Right.
Not that I could remember him saying. I just know that it was an accident, car accident or something at that point. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I need the money.
Okay.
And then he's like, okay. He gives me, because I remember falling asleep. It was like we weren't even up for like a long time, because he was so nervous and like he looked wired and nervous. And then he gave me a Xanax and I fell asleep.
Okay,
like we both fell asleep.
So you both took a Xanax and fell asleep. But before you fell asleep, you told him you needed the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you tell him that? Like, did you say, hey, he came, you know, my guy, obviously you're not saying names.
Yeah.
My person, so they took care of what you need? Like, tell me how that conversation happened.
There wasn't really much of a conversation. I just told him, like, I needed the money. Like, I don't remember.
So when
really,
he's talking about the accident
anything.
And all that stuff, and you're saying, I need the money, you're not saying, hey, now you know this has happened. They did this for you.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, he knows that something happened already. He's, like, certain that that's that. I'm collecting money for, you know, from Sigfredo telling me, that obviously, at that point, like, I knew, but it wasn't, you know, like, okay. Like, I just went specifically to ask him for that money. Like, I wasn't.
Okay, so you knew.
I didn't want to ask really any questions. That's why, I guess. That's why I didn't want to like, okay, so you know that obviously he knew that that had already happened and that occurred.
Okay, so you knew that he knew the details because of how he's acting.
Yes.
Okay, you knew from your side because Sigfredo came back and told you, hey,
Yes.
it's done.
Yeah.
I need money.
Yes.
You go to Charlie's. Charlie's acting erratic, telling you an accident happened. In your mind, that's him realizing what happened.
Yes.
Okay. He never came out and said that my brother-in-law is dead. Did he come out and say anything about any of it?
No.
Okay.
That day.
He didn't come and say, thank you for taking care of this for me?
No, definitely did not say anything like that.
Okay, so he's just pacing back and forth with a gun and kind of being frantic.
Oh, well, remember I had, from looking at I don't want to go off topic or whatever, but from looking at the text messages from when I was like reviewing stuff, like, before my trial, and then I see that his parents had stopped by his house, right? I mean, I'm at that point, and I've told you this before, that he's always mentioned that he never keeps any money in his house.
Right.
So, and he was very adamant about telling me that too, and now it makes sense because he never wanted to get robbed, or he didn't want, I guess, things to flip and be like, okay, like he had some type of money or kept, he had his safe, but like I said, I've never seen like anything like that inside his safe. So his parents like stopping by over there, which I almost feel like it might have been like around almost the same time frame for me, even like getting to his, like before I got to his house.
So you think his parents stopped by right before you got there, like around the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why
you weren't there when they stopped by?
No.
Okay, so you think they stopped by right before you got there?
Or he had said something about his parents stopping by. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So about that, explain to me what you think about that.
I mean, like the whole money situation, because it's like, when did this money just all of a sudden appear? And he said he's never had it in his house.
Okay. So you think that his parents brought the money over?
Yes.
Okay. What specifically? So he's adamantly told you that he doesn't keep money in his house. Okay, he's adamantly told you that he never keeps it. He's there.
Yeah.
You said he mentioned something to you about his parents stopping by, and then the money was there.
Yeah, and then it just confirms from the text messages that I saw that at that time that his parents did stop by before they, I guess, went up to Tallahassee.
Okay. All right. Before we spoke about the money, you said the money was stapled and stuff like that. Have you ever seen inside of Charlie's safe, seen money in his safe or anything like that?
I know he's had like whenever he opens the safe, he kind of like blocks it, and I'm to the point, like I'm not like nosy and wanting to see what's in, that's his stuff or whatever, but I've never seen like money or anything like that inside his safe. I know he has probably like a gun or whatever in there, but
stacked money or anything?
No, not stacks of money.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's grabbed money out from there, like, if we're gonna go out, grab some money and then, close this safe, but not like stacks of money.
Okay. So when you get there, he gives you a Xanax, and he says something about his parents had just stopped by. Where's the money at that point? Did he already give it to you yet?
No.
Okay.
So fell asleep in the morning. I mean, he was up before me, and then he told me, "Hey, it's in the trunk." Like, cause I had that SUV, so he put it somewhere in the back of my SUV, and I was like, okay. And I'm like, like he got my keys and went in my car and like I guess put it back there, and then I'm like, all right, well I gotta go, and went back down south.
Okay. So that morning was a very short morning then.
Yeah.
Because he's already awake. By the time you wake up, he's already put the money in your backseat.
I didn't stay there for long.
Okay. You left. Where did you go when you left his house?
That's when I was like trying to get in contact with Sigfredo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get in contact with him?
Couldn't get in contact with him, and that's where the whole, like trying to find him
and all
and
that came in.
Yeah, but see, that's where it's like everything was a little, like trying to find him,
and all that
and
came in.
Yeah, but see, that's where it's like everything was a little different. Like, you know how, like I told you, like they're saying that like I went upstairs or whatever, but
I
that
just want you to tell me what you remember.
from, okay.
I don't care what they all said, your recollection of how that day went.
Yes, ma'am. I just remember finally, I don't know if it's that I had to go in the alley. I don't know who told me. I think it was probably, or I was just waiting there. There has to have been some communication, and then just to meet up behind Lewis's apartments in the alleyway. I don't know if it's that I had to go in the alley. I don't know who told me. I think it was probably, or I was just waiting there. There has to have been some communication, and then just to meet up behind Lewis's apartments in the alleyway.
Okay.
And I was just waiting there in the alleyway, and Sigfredo jumped in the car out of nowhere. Okay. I didn't see him with the Prius or whatever. I didn't see any cars around. He just jumped in, and he scared me because he looked like he's been drinking and, on drugs though. Yeah. So I told him, I was like, yeah. So I told him, I was like, hey, your stuff is in the trunk. He grabs it and then like leaves.
Did you ever see what the money was in the trunk? Did you ever look when you went to your car? Did you ever look? And
no, I never looked in the back of the car, but I did see it like when Sigfredo had it in his hand. It was like in a plastic bag, but it was like, I don't know, like
describe it for me. You can use your hands or whatever best you can. I know, best you can.
It was, yeah, it was like in a plastic bag, but it looked like there was like a paper bag inside. So I mean, it was pretty wide.
Okay.
And then he just like ran and went. I don't know if he went upstairs with it to Lewis's apartment or wherever he went, but he just like left. And so I left and I went back home.
Okay. He didn't say anything after he grabbed it?
No.
Okay. He just said,
I don't know if he said, I'll see you later or
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you left and go home. At what point from there does Sigfredo come back and you get your portion of the money and all that?
He comes, I don't know if he came back that same day. I don't know if I was trying to call him again and, like get in contact with him or whatever, but I was already, like, I'm home with the kids or whatever. Like, I already came back home, and I don't know if I took the kids out somewhere or, like, took them to the pool or whatever, but I know I was already home at that time, and I don't know when he came back, but I know he had to come back probably that same, I don't know if it's the same day or the following day.
Around that time frame?
Yes.
Okay. So he comes back. At what point does he give you money?
When he came back.
Okay, did he already have it like pulled out for you, or did he have it still wrapped in something?
It wasn't like a plasticky bag.
Like a grocery bag or like a Ziploc bag or what? Or like a clothing store bag?
I don't, not like a zip, but it's kind of like a form of a Ziploc bag.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember it being closed. So, yeah.
Okay, so it was like closed?
Yeah.
Okay, how was the money like?
Separated? It was in stacks. In the stable.
Okay. All right. How much did he give you?
That's that. I never like counted how much.
Your best guess was it like the stacks of hundreds? Were they 20s? Were they?
I believe some were hundreds and like hundreds and 20s.
Hundreds
because
and 20s?
some of them look a little thicker.
Thicker than the others.
And then I got it. And then I put it in the closet, and like I literally like forgot it for probably a couple days, like, because at that point there goes Sigfredo again, MIA, and I don't know if I had any other conversations or whatever with Charlie at that time.
Okay, all right. And you put it in there, and you just put it in the closet and leave it.
Remember, I had told you that about like. Later on, I don't know if it was like a couple days, I called up Sigfredo and finally spoke to him again. And then I was like, hey, there's mold in this. So I'm like questioning him, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, in my head, is this like fake money or something? Like, why is it getting moldy? It just wasn't. Yeah. Because it's like all that moisture and everything. But now I realized that it was washed or.
Okay. All right. At what point did you start spending the money? Did you dry it out? Like, did you leave it in the stack stapled, or did you take the staples out?
I think I tried to dry it out. like with a blow dryer.
Okay, did you
He's just like
unstaple it to do that?
I probably did.
Probably did?
Yeah.
Okay. So you did that and blow dried it out?
Yeah.
And then what'd you do with it?
Well, I just put it back. Yeah.
Started using
probably
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you would just, like, you never deposited large amounts or made any big purchases?
I never made any big purchases, but I'm pretty sure little bits at a time, like I had deposited money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would be about the amount that you would make the deposits for?
I don't remember, like at that time, like I told you, like I was working too, so
Yeah.
it's like whenever I would make just like a deposit whenever I had a chance to do so.
Was that when you were doing the bottle service stuff too?
I believe so.
Okay, so you would have cash from that as well?
Yeah.
So you would
I would just, I kind of just dispersed like between banks, make sure that I had it there. See, the thing with Sigfredo too, it's like if he needed money, he'd grab money off of, he'd come over, he knew to come in the closet, grab some money, and then like I had to think about like the long run. That's why I'm like putting money little by little so that I could have money.
Right. So the money in your
the
closet
saving
that he brought, was that supposed to be your cut and his cut?
I believe so. That I don't. I think he probably took his cut and
then
he
still was using yours too?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what he did with his or how much.
But you started thinking he's going to keep coming and taking money.
Exactly.
So when you would have tips
Exactly.
would you mix it with your tips from your bottle service?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you mix it with your tips from your bottle service and do deposits.
Yeah.
And then you did that.
Yeah, I had it like in some type of shoebox or like maybe like a bag or something, so that at least obviously like the kids won't get
Yeah.
too, and then like but he knew exactly
where it was.
Just go. Yeah.
About how often did you make the deposits? Like how often from bottle service do you do it? Like weekly? Would you do it like every couple of days?
Oh no, that yeah. Whenever I get a chance, I don't know if it's like probably like weekly, not
because you
not,
work
not
maybe
so
like
often.
through the weekends or
yes, yeah. Whenever I had a chance to go to the bank and to just do it, like I would just put like a lump sum of it.
Okay. All right. After the money got to you, and how were you and Charlie still hanging out at that point?
I believe so, but it like he wasn't really. He started acting, to my perspective, a little weird about it. Like I guess I didn't realize it at that point, but again, like we weren't exclusive, and it wasn't like we were always together. I didn't have that luxury to always be, just go
going
about,
with them all
because I'm always with the kids.
Right. So when you say he was acting weird, like was he pulling away? Was he being like cryptic? Like the way he was talking, describe his acting weird.
It just we weren't hanging out as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think did it abruptly change after he paid and the murder? You think?
From how I, like at that moment, I didn't realize it, but seeing it now, yes. Yeah, I think like little by little, he was just kind of distant.
Okay. But you guys remain in contact?
Yes.
Okay. And he would still message you here and there? I know,
yeah.
The dental appointments with all that kind of stuff for your kids and all that stuff. Okay. So that's kind of how the relationship stayed until kind of 2016. Am I right? It's just like communication here and there. Did you guys start trying to date again at all?
I mean, we would hang out, like I said, between me and Sigfredo too. Like we were always...
Like when you and Sigfredo were off, you kind of hang out with Charlie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Okay.
Because then Sigfredo would go again and upset me, and he'd be in his crazy, like he would I just couldn't keep him like tamed.
Right.
So.
Okay. And then, so you and Charlie, that communication just stayed open. It was just kind of
I mean, we stayed friends. I mean,
he would still reach out.
I kind of knew, that's why you hear me teasing him about his girlfriends. It got to the point where it's like, it was more like we were just friends. Really, we were just friends. But
occasionally you would hook up.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's go now. That's kind of how your relationship was from like after everything happened in July of 2014.
Yes, ma'am.
Through Now we're at early 2016.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything I'm missing from the murder until we get to around the bump time and around?
No, because all of that seems to be. It was
all
a
done
blur.
and over
It was
with
just
and-
Like I almost feel like okay, like he got what he
away with
wanted, and not necessarily that he got away with it because nothing was ever discussed after that.
Right.
There was
so there was never any
no
communication
discussion
about what happened to his brother-in-law. What about
Nothing
when
after
did you
that.
see the news articles and all that kind of stuff about it and put two and two
I
together?
didn't know about all those news. That's why I keep telling you guys I didn't know anything about no news articles or whatever until Sigfredo got arrested.
So that's when you found everything.
I wasn't even. Well, prior to that was the bump, right?
Yes.
So he had to have mentioned something about it coming back again, but my recollection from it was a little different because at that point, that's the thing. Me and Sigfredo got back together.
Mm-hmm.
He moved in again. Everything was fine.
So your relationship with Charlie wasn't as close as it was.
Because obviously, I'm back with Sigfredo, so I think that's part of the reason too that he's stayed away.
Okay.
But still, I would communicate with him. Obviously, Sigfredo didn't know that I'm still talking to him, but even when Sigfredo had gotten arrested, I didn't really know about this whole Tallahassee and until then.
Okay, so, and I get it down there, you guys aren't getting our news articles, we had a murder in Tallahassee.
I didn't know how big it was over here and what was going on.
Right,
Definitely did not.
That doesn't make it down there. This is Tallahassee. You were down in South Florida.
Yes, ma'am.
Miles away.
Yes, ma'am.
So I get that. So let's go to, before Sigfredo got arrested, there was the bump and Charlie's reaching out to you wanting to meet up with you.